Welcome back to my channel, Fancy LaFemme, Fancy here from Fancy's Hair Innovation. And if you are new here, welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. This channel is a channel where I share my journey living life as an innovator, meaning authentically being my true self, sharing my journey with you as I go through my femininity, my real life experiences, in hopes to inspire you all to live life as an innovator as well. So for the purposes of today's video, we are going to be talking about the best dating questions, okay? So as a feminine queen, a feminine goddess, it is important that we do our due diligence in asking the right questions when you are intentionally or purposely dating. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into this video. So when thinking about the right questions to ask while you're dating, I split these questions into two categories, from our hard questions and our soft questions. And the reason why I split these into two different categories is so that we get an understanding of when to ask these questions, because timing is very important. When you're out on a date with someone, when you're dating someone, you don't want that person to feel as though you are just grilling them with questions. You know, they feel like they're cornered. They feel like this is an interview. You really don't want to set that kind of tone. So you want dating always to be in the back of your mind, free flowing. You want to enjoy. You want to have fun with it, right? But at the end of the day, you are on a purpose and you have intention, right? So with that said, it is very important for us to do our due diligence. So we are going to start off with the soft questions so you can kind of get an idea of what type of vibe you want to go with when you're just getting to know someone and you literally only been on a couple dates with them. So you don't want to overwhelm them with the hard questions. Not just yet. So let's start with the soft questions. Okay, so our soft questions, I have a couple of them written in my phone because I didn't want to forget anything. When I tell you these questions are going to set you up for the best dating success, take my word for it, please. This is going to allow you, again, to make the best decision for yourself. So starting with the soft questions, right? So we're starting off lighthearted, free-flowing, fun, enjoy. You want to get to know the person, right? Without making them feel like you're cornering them or grilling them. So to begin, a good soft question to start off with, depending on if you're at dinner, museum, walk in the park, wherever you are. This is a great soft question. How would you describe your upbringing? This is going to give you the opportunity to understand how that person was brought up, what their family dynamic was like, how many siblings do they have, if they have any, what was that dynamic like? Do they come from a broken home? Did they have time split between their mom and dad? Did they grow up in a household where mom and dad were both present, and what was that like? Did they take family vacations? There's so much that can come out of this open-ended question as to describe your family. Like, what was your upbringing like? What was your childhood like? Like, there's so much that you can follow up on from this question, and I think it's such a great question for you to understand, one, their background and their upbringing, but also how they feel when they are sharing this experience with you can tell you a lot. Next question. This is more of a hypothetical question. When you are on a date with someone, let's say maybe this is the second or third date, I think this is a good question to ask. Or you can even ask this on the first date, honestly. But here's a good hypothetical. So how how important is that your next relationship ends in marriage? Like, hypothetically speaking, if you're dating an adult woman and the relationship is pretty solid and you like her so far, you like how things are going, how would you feel if she's not really into marriage, if she's not really feeling that? You know, how would you handle that? I think that's a great question, because it gets into the man's intention, right? It gets into, you know, what he's looking forward to in his next phase. You know, it helps you understand where he is in his dating process or in his dating world, right? Versus, do you want to get married? What are your thoughts on marriage? You know, so versus those type of questions, this allows the person that you're asking to be a little bit more reflective and say, if you are that girl, right? Let's just say you are the girl that he likes. You are that dope woman. You are the person that he's been spending a lot of time with and having a good time with. It makes him think, you know, like, hey, either, yeah, I'm down with just having fun, or no, you know, even if it's a great woman, I'm really interested in pursuing marriage. Like, you get to understand where he is with that question. So I love that question. It's a great question. Another soft question is, you can ask at any point in your dating process with this person, what's the difference between a man's role and a woman's role? Let him explain his thoughts and perception as to what a man's role is, what a woman's role is, if he believes in gender roles at all. And I think that this is a very important question, especially as, you know, you go on your feminine journey as a feminine woman. You start to understand, you know, what type of partner you need. So I think if you ask a man this question, you'll get a good gauge as to, you know, is he more of a masculine man? What his idea is on gender roles? How does he feel about the balance between the masculine and the feminine? This is a great question for you to gain some insight as to how he feels about the roles and the balance that we all play a part in relationships. Okay? And last but not least, soft question I love to ask is, what is the best thing that you've unlearned? This is a question that allows someone to be reflective, right? But also show you that they have the ability to grow, adapt, change, understand that, you know, we all have areas of opportunity. And it also shows you that the man has an ability to evolve, right? Because if someone is comfortable with sharing something that they unlearned, or sharing maybe a methodology or something that they once believed and once was a part of them, or a character trait or something, and they were able to undo that because they realized that that does not serve my greater purpose. This is not going to set me up for the success that I'm destined for. They have the ability to understand that there are some things that we need to unlearn and that we need to undo. And I think this is a great question to ask someone when you're getting to know them in a dating stage, because it gives you more insight as to, you know, how self-reflective they can be as an individual. If, you know, that's an important quality to you, but here as a high quality feminine woman, that is an important quality to you, because we are people who we understand that we are constantly growing, we are evolving, and we're just trying to personally develop within our own lives, within our own relationship, within our families, within our careers. So this is an important question to ask. So moving on to our hard questions. So your hard questions are the questions you want to ask when you spent a little bit more time with the person, when you got most of your soft questions out the way, when you were able to, spend a little bit more time, have more conversations with this person, get to know this person a little bit more, now it's time to level up a little bit, turn it up a notch, and get a little bit more deeper. Because that is how we are going to do our due diligence, ladies. We have to get below the surface. We have to understand the mindset of an individual. We need to understand what their goals are. Their character traits are so important. We need to get to that. So let's get into our hard questions. I'm gonna take a sip of wine because I've been talking a lot, and this is some good stuff. Okay, so disclaimer, I want to share most of these hard questions that I have for you came from my spiritual father, R.C. Blakes Jr. You can find his YouTube content at R.C. Blakes Jr. He has a collection of content that he calls Queenology. I have been a humble student of Queenology. I love R.C. Blakes. He is my spiritual online father. Enjoy all of his father-daughter talks, conversations, things like that. So I just wanted to put that out there, that these questions came specifically from him, with a mix of some of them being my own. But I wanted to share that, and if you are interested in checking out R.C. Blakes, check him out. Let him know that Fancy sent you. I admire him in the work that he's doing for a lot of the women in my community, especially when it comes to healing your wounded feminine. So just wanted to put that out there before we get into the actual questions. So starting with some hard questions, I like to ask, what's your life mission? Another way you can ask this is, what is your purpose? What do you feel like your purpose in life is? Or as a man, you're on a date with a man, what is your vision? I think if you ask a man what his vision is, that's going to give you insight as to if you fit into that vision or not. Because at the end of the day, you want to understand the path that the man is on, to understand if your path and your journey aligns with his. That's the purpose. So I think that is a phenomenal question to ask, and it gets people thinking. And honestly, men love when women ask great questions. So listen, don't quote me, just try it. Another great question you can ask is, what matters most to you? I ask this question a lot, and most of the time men respond with the answer of family. So I think this is a great question to ask. Again, it kind of coincides with what is your life purpose or mission question or your vision. So if you ask a man, what is most important to you, and he answers with family, that is an answer that you can easily ask him to expound upon. So can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, when you say family, what core elements of family are so important to you? Why does it matter to you so much? Oh my God, I'm so interested in learning more about that. Like, remain curious. The point of this is you want to understand the person better and understand their character. Character is going to tell you everything at the end of the day. Moving on. Now, okay, ladies, this is a question I love to ask when you are, to me, I think this is an appropriate question when you are at a dinner date. So when you're at a dinner date and you're looking nice and you have your dress on, and it's one of those like romantic dinners where it's candlelit, it's pretty sensual. Okay, you've had a couple dates in the past, and this is maybe your third or fourth date. This is a question that you want to ask across the table from your partner. And you want to say to him, while you guys are chit-chatting and talking about the ambiance, so what attracted you to me? why am I sitting here across from you? You want to ask that question because you want to understand his thoughts. You want to understand what drawed him to you, right? Like, what was it? You know, you want to get an idea of, is this man attracted to you purely because you're physically beautiful, or was he attracted to more than that? And that allows you to get into his mind, get into his heart, and understand you know, what is it truly about you as to why you're sitting here across from him? I think that's a great question. It's a great way to understand how a man can provide you with some type of reassurance. You know, you kind of want to understand if you're sitting here for the right reasons. That's the purpose of that question. You kind of want to understand, okay, does he feel as though that I'm sitting here for the right reasons, meaning my reasons for being here? Are we aligned here? So I think that's a great question to ask. Okay. Another question that I love to ask, because again, as feminine women, we are all evolving, we're constantly growing, we are learning, we are doing our due diligence so we can have the best possible outcomes in our lives. And that question is, what do you do to grow? What do you do for self-growth? You know, this is a question you want to understand. Personally, I'll share a story with you. I have in the past have dated or been in a relationship with a man who was, I would say, not the ambitious type. He was pretty okay with what he was okay with. And for someone who is ambitious, for someone who is aligned with her purpose, her journey that God placed for me to carry out on this earth, it requires for me to be ambitious. It requires for me to continue to seek more as I go down this journey and learn more and just become a better person all around. And this person that I was with at the time wasn't quite that way. He was pretty okay with, you know, the status quo. So if you are a woman that is looking for a partner who shares the same attributes as you in regards to evolving and personal development and continuing to grow and strengthen up those areas of opportunities within ourselves, this is a great question to ask. What do you do to grow? Me personally, I love to read books, listen to motivational speaking, network with others, always remain curious and ask questions. You know, pick the brains of people who are much smarter than me, have more life experience than I do. That's how I grow. So you kind of want to ask that question just to see where they are and understand, you know, what do they do when they are in a time of evolution. So this is a hard question that you want to ask. Once you spent a little bit of time with the man, you know, where you guys been on a few dates, maybe you've become a little bit more personal with each other, where maybe you have been to his place, maybe he's been to yours, depending on if you're comfortable with that. But what I'm trying to describe is, at the end of the day, this is a question you want to ask when you have spent a little bit more time. So I want to say maybe around the 2-month mark, where you spend a little bit more time with the person. You've been on dates, he's been courting you, you've been on your due diligence, you're asking the right questions, you're collecting the appropriate data. One hard question I think is good to ask is, what have you learned about me? Right? This is a good question to ask after you spent enough time with the person where they can observe you and actually learn more about you. You want to assess what that person actually has learned. Okay? You want to ensure that you guys are on the same page in regards to what you are presenting to this person is what they're receiving. And you want to ensure that they are receiving who you are, what you're about, your character, you know, who you are as a woman, your feminine energy, and everything that you have to bring to the table. You want to ensure that he is receiving that, right? So the only way to know is by asking, you know, what is it that you learned about me so far? You want to know that that man's paying attention. I mean, as a feminine woman, we love men who pay attention. We love men who are, you know, detail oriented and just have a high level of learning the woman that they're involved with. There is no greater turn on than knowing that the man that you're with knows you, and he knows you because he's taken the time to learn you. Very important. Very important. I'm over here just dropping gems. I'm dropping gems for you. So yes, you want to know, you know, if he is assessing you properly, if he's made proper observations, if he's paying attention to the fine details, and, you know, getting to learn who you are as a woman. Okay, ladies, last but not least, here's another great question you can ask. A hard question you can ask while dating is, what are your core values when it comes to love? You want to understand his core values. You want to understand at the core of his ecosystem as a man, what is important to him? What are some key values that he finds in what makes a solid foundation for a relationship? You know, you want to understand, you know, is it trustworthiness, communication, integrity, you know, listening, understanding, whatever that may be. We all have our core values, but you want to understand what his core values are to see if they align with your core values. And if they do align with your core values, make sure you make a mental note, you take it back to the lab, and you assess. Once you're able to collect all the data that you need to collect, it's your job to now make a judgment call. But what I find, and this is why I feel like these questions are so important to our success and so critical as feminine ladies as we are on our journey to match with our masculine man. These are important because we want to make sure that we're making sound decisions. You know, a lot of times if we feel like we are rushing or we have a scarcity mindset, it's hard for us to go about the dating process in the appropriate way. So ask these soft questions in the beginning, ask the hard questions as you go through your process, assess, make a sound decision, make a clear judgment, use discernment, and you should be fine. I mean, and also just never forget, look at dating as a fun experience, you know, as you go through it, but in your head, in your subconscious, always know that you are moving with purpose, you're acting with intention. And remember, if you have a man that doesn't want to answer questions, more than likely he doesn't have good intentions. There are men out there that are reluctant to asking questions, and truth be told, they're just not the guys for you. So you want to go with the guy who is open, you know, ready for your questions, receptive to you wanting to learn more about him. Those are the men that you want to focus on. Those are the men that you want to share your energy with. Don't waste your time with men that don't want to answer questions, because obviously he may have something to hide. So that's my video for you all. The best dating questions to ask to get the best dating success, the best results in dating. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video if you like the content. Okay, share it with your girlfriends, because we are on a mission to balance out our feminine energy, nurture our feminine energy, and yeah, we're out here, we're just trying to live our best lives, and we're not wasting our time. We want to be purposeful and intentional, because at the end of the day, who you choose to share your heart with and your life with is a huge decision. So you want to make sure you make the best decision. So thank you for tuning in to my video. This is Fancy here from Fancy's Hair Innovation. Welcome to my channel, Fancy with Them. And yeah, go ahead, like the video, subscribe,